Hello and welcome to another tips and tricks session in BricsCAD. In this session we're going to be having a brief look at the BC subtract and the BC unite layer functions, and we're also going to use some parameters and create some intelligent blocks and library components if you wish. So first thing I want to do is just create a simple model, and we're not going to worry too much about the detail on here. We're just going to create a box effectively. And at the moment that's on layer 0, so it's the colour you would expect, which is great. So what I want to do first of all is change this to the BC subtract layer. So I'm just going to select our component, and then we're going to change our layer from layer 0 to BC subtract. It turns red because I've set the layers up for red to remove material, which is subtract, and green will be the unite, which is going to add to other bodies. So first thing I want to do now is export this and save it as a block. Going to give it a location, and we'll just call this block 1 and save. We're going to insert or pick our base point in the corner, and again OK to that, and we select the entity, which is our box. So OK, that's now going to save that away as a block in our library. So what I want to do now, again, just create another piece of geometry. So I'm going to come into the model, and we're just going to create another box. Not going to worry too much about the sizes and dimensions, etc. And that's like so. So next thing I want to do now is insert the block we just created. So we're just going to come to our insert block, browse to the location, and we've got block 1. Click OK, and then we'll insert that somewhere in our model. We'll say in that corner there. Now straight away, as soon as I press the OK button, you can see it's actually removed material, but we can still see the layer. So all I have to do now is turn the visibility of that layer off, and I've got a cutout, and it's removed the material. So it's obviously a very simple example. You can imagine it can get far more complex than that. So what happens to the BC unite? So if we come back to our original component, and this time I'm just going to change this to the layer of BC unite. You'll see it turns green now, so it's on that layer. Oops, didn't mean to delete it. And all I'm going to do now again is export this as a new block. So we're going to save this block in the same location, and we call this block 2, and then save. Base point is going to be exactly the same, but we'll just select everything, and we go for our base point in the corner and say OK. So come back to our original model, and this time when we go to the insert, we're going to insert that block, again browse to it, click open, and then place it on our model. So again, we could select anywhere on here, but I'm just going to go for this corner here. Let's go for that corner there. There it is placed in the position. We can still see the green from the layer on there, so I'm just going to turn off the BC unite layer, and we can now see that this component is one solid, so it's actually united our block to the original body that we created. So you can see very easy to work with, but also can save an awful lot of time. What we can also do though is add parameters to all of these blocks that we're creating. So if I come back in here, and again we're just going to come back to our block that we're working with, and we could add parameters on here. So we might want to go into our 3D parametric and might want to select the distance from one face to another, and then you've got a parameter that you can modify. So we can change that to whatever we want that to be. You might want it to be 200. Now again, if we create our block with that information built in, I'm just going to add a user parameter. So we call this the height. Again, we'll change that to 200. And we'll tell it to use our custom expression, like so. Now what happens when we create our block? We're going to save this block. I'm going to give it a new name, we call this block 3. Hit save, select the entity, and also our base point again. So again, if we come back into our other model, we're going to place the new block in here. So now we're going to place our block as we did previously. Again, I'm just going to turn on my BC Unite so I can actually see the component that I'm placing, and we're going to drop it in that corner here. So again, if we turn off our BC Unite layer, we can see that's now made a component that's fixed and joined to the original part. But now we've also got the parameters, so I can now change my parameter of height to 100, and it's going to update automatically for me in the window. So again, make that 300. It's going to update to whatever size you set. So again, very, very easy to work with. Just to show you how far you can actually go with this now, because we can also add this to our library by publishing to our library of standard components and features. So in here I've got my library, and to create a new library entity, very, very simple. We're just going to click on the plus, select our entire drawing. We can show our inputs if we wanted to. We can give it a name, or we can select what's on the screen. So I'm going to call this 22. My entity I'm going to bring through is the block we just created, and it's going to be in my test category, and my base point is going to be the midpoint in this instance, and say create. That's now created a library component for us. So if we go to our test folder, we can see we've got block 22 there. So we can just place that if we wanted to. Exactly the same behavior if I come back to my main drawing, and rather than inserting the block, I can insert from the library, place my part in the assembly or the component, and then it's brought through those same parameters. So just to show how far you can go with this now and how it can make life a lot easier, we're just going to come back to our start area, and I'm just going to open a drawing I've already got. So we're going to open this wheel hub from another assembly, and all I have to do is come to my library and say I want to insert. We can drag and drop or just click, and then we can place this into our model like so, and we can see where it's going to be removing material, because obviously we've still got the layer turned on. So again, as we've done before, we're just going to turn that visibility of that layer off, the BC Subtract, and we can just see what it's actually going to do. So again, we've got the parameters in here, and this has been added a little bit better, so we can change the depth, the size, the radius. We might want the radius to be say 45, and you see it'll update to the correct position. You can change the size, the depth, quantity. For the moment we've got 6 holes in here, we might want to have 8 holes in there, and again that's going to update the array, and we'll go back to 5 if we wanted to. You can see now you've got complete control over this feature that you're placing, so it could be a really big time saver if this is a whole pattern that you do regularly, but you do several variations. You can simply place it in there, modify it, and update it to whatever you want. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much.